Today's guest is Andrew Bakewell. So for the people going to meet you for the first time, in 10 seconds, who are you and what do you do?
I'm the president of BKFC UK. I organise and matchmake the events over here in England.
A lot of people think bare-knuckle fighting is chaos. So what do they get wrong?
No, I think it's more exciting. I think it's chaotic. I think if you look into the backgrounds of all the fighters we have on board, the structure of the business, the level of production within the company, it's in line with everything they're doing into the top end of pro boxing. We have all the fighters are completely ex-pros from other sports.
So it's very well controlled.
The top level athletes, like, they're not idiots who's dragging it off the street, you know. They were pulling them in from pro boxing, pro MMA, pro K1, pro type boxing. Like, they've got solid backgrounds in combat sports. They take it seriously. A lot of these guys fight as a job, you know. They're full-time fighters. They're training twice a day. They're fully committed. Like,
so it's a full-time job.
It's the perception of it being like just full of rough kids and sort of street thugs and stuff couldn't be further from the truth, you know. Yeah, so
do you see a lot of professional athletes from previous sports or boxing coming over, or UFC coming over to BKFC? Yeah, of course. I mean,
this is the reality of where we get a lot of the fighters from. Yeah. I think until it becomes its own sport and its own right, with people coaching it as a sport from like grassroots level, then sort of like an amateur series of some sort, I think you're always going to have to pull fighters in from other sports. But the only problem is then you've got to you never really know how someone's going to get on getting hit with no glove, no matter where they come from. Like pro boxers, it's a different game, you know. It's like not everybody's suited to it, you know, as you can imagine, man.
Yeah, and what do you think is the big draw? Do you think is it money? Is it a thrill that it's bare-knuckle?
I think it's clout. I think like everyone's doing it to be the boy, aren't they? You know, if you're fighting, like you're doing it because you want to be as the man sort of thing.
Yeah, because there's nothing more raw than going bare-knuckle.
100%.
What is the exact moment that you realised that BKFC UK could actually become something big?
I've always believed it was going to be turning something huge. It's taken a lot of time to build it and get it where we needed to be. Mainly down to budget restrictions. We had expectations to build it from the ground up, just like they did in America. But I've always seen the sport getting to where it needed to be from just day one I got involved in it. I'd just seen it happen with MMA. I was around MMA when that first I was sort of watching it just come out of nowhere and just turn into a huge pinnacle of a sport. And this is exactly the same thing, if not more exciting. Yeah. I think MMA has reached a stage now where it's so wrestling dominated, it's not as exciting as it used to be. It's just all elite athletes, wrestling dominates, it's not as exciting to watch. Bare-knuckle will always, you'll never get rid of that excitement aspect of bare-knuckle, you know. And it's still a developing sport as well, you know. Once it's just going to get better and better.
And what nearly stopped the BKFC UK from ever launching?
I mean, it all launched down to David Feldman in America wanting to bring it over here. And we were just fortunate enough to get the opportunity to work with him. And we'd worked with him previously in the past. And everything went well. So when he came over here, he asked me to help matchmake on the Wembley event. So I'll put some fights together on the undercard for him. Then from there, he just said, look, we'll swallow your company. We'll give you shares in this and you can run it over in the UK for us.
Wow, that's a huge responsibility. And what's the biggest personal risk that you took putting your name behind this?
Just putting fights on that to people when people don't perform, you know. A lot of the time, again, if I've never worked with somebody or seen them fight bare-knuckle at a competitive level, it's so difficult to work out. I think it's like if they're going to be suitable for it, and I think it comes down to character. Unless I know like the character, the sort of person they are, like how willing to sort of put their life on the line to win, you know. Yeah. It's hard, and this sport is like
and it's important to get it evenly matched.
Yeah, 100%. Mate, it's nothing annoys me more than people just quitting in there. You know what I mean? I think the sport in itself will only get where it needs to be on the back of people putting in the right performances, and it's probably only 1% of people like legitimately capable of doing it to the level we want. You know, it's not for everyone. You know, there's no shame in it not being for you. You know, it's we're very. Our expectations are pretty high, you know what I mean?
Yes,
I mean, it's the top end of bare-knuckle fighting. You know, there's no bigger platform in the world right now than BKFC. So, I think when people get the opportunity, I think 90% of them got it with both hands, you know what I mean? But then you've seen some people who kind of just quit and get out there and like, oh, next time. I'm like, fucking, yeah, do it.
Yeah, maybe it's a bit, no, you know, they didn't expect.
You just never know, mate. And again, it's like, you just don't know how someone's going to react until they get punched in the face with no glove on. And it is a different feeling, man.
Yes.
Especially if they come from kind of pro boxing and they're expecting to come in here and just run through people and they get nailed off somebody like who they wouldn't have thought was sort of dangerous enough to hurt them.
Yeah.
Fucking different sport, man.
And I mean, how can you tell if somebody is actually suited for bare-knuckle? Is there any way to tell?
I'm just going to tell, I just try and look for them in fights that haven't been going that way and just seeing how much they can dig deep. You know, I don't really get anything out of seeing somebody just run people over or just have it all their own way. I want to see like them up against it, and you know, if they're still fucking getting up, dragging themselves up at the canvas, and you know, going through some serious pain, because they're definitely going to go through some serious pain in bare-knuckle, mate.
Oh yeah,
you know?
You always see their faces look deformed in those interviews.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, there's some, but mate, it's so impressive though, man. Like,
Totally.
I think there's Liam Hutchinson versus Luke Brassfield in the last show, and there was Bradley Taylor versus Brian Hislop. It's massively impressive, man. I think Liam Hutchinson at one point, I think he thought his eye was shutting, so I think his corner team said, look, you've got to get this kid out this next round. He come out just like just determined to put this kid away. His opponent just gritted his teeth. He had two broken hands and he just gritted his teeth through it, but I mean, it was just a war to the end, but you could just see how much they both wanted it, you know what I mean? It was just, and that's what I think that's what builds the sport more than anything. It's not so much the level of skill of these boys, it's the determination to fucking succeed. I don't think there's another platform in the world that will give lads to come in from sort of an unknown sort of level and rise to a sort of somebody relatively quickly, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think this platform is so huge. It's probably the fastest growing thing I've seen.
It's massive, mate. It's massive. It's only going to get bigger. We're in talks with just huge pros that are coming over. This year's going to be massive for the UK.
Insane.
Yeah, and even in America, like David's, he never stops that, man. He's just he's working at it 24/7, so he's got huge plans over there.
And how different is the modern bare-knuckle, you know, to what people still imagine it to be?
Depends what people imagine it to be. I mean,
I guess it's more like the underground, like we said, where they used to fight in car parks. Isn't that how it used to be?
I mean, there's travellers doing. They sort their own things out. You know, they usually family disputes where they'll go and meet up. They'll bet on each other they'll just bet amongst themselves. You know what I mean? It's a different pace. It's a different style. It's not really what we're doing. You know, we're trying to turn it into the top end of combat sports.
And what's the most dangerous mistake fighters can make in the bare-knuckle?
Not taking it seriously as its own sport. You know, the footwork has to change. Your defences, your feet, your hand position needs to change. You can't put as much weight on your lead leg. You've got to work on the clinch. Like, if you don't take them things seriously, man, you go in there thinking it is pro boxing, amateur boxing, you think it's any of them games, and you don't sort of put some time into all the rest of it, it's you're gonna have a rough time.
And what would you say separates a good fighter from a star in the sport?
Somebody who's just got a bit of charisma about them. Somebody who puts all the time and effort into training, but they know how to sell themselves online. They know how to get about and get the tickets out there. You know.
And not everybody has that ability, though.
No, it's a very difficult thing to do, to have the whole package, you know what I mean?
Some people try and it's cheesy, and others just has it, you know?
Yeah, some people are just interesting characters, man. People like Danny Christie, like you've got Conor Tini, Mick Terrell, you know, they're all different characters, but they're interesting, you know what I mean?
Yes, got that something.
Like, Conor's a lot more brash than a lot of other people, like Mick's quiet, you know, but they still have that charisma about them, you know, they're still interesting.
So, like we say, a lot of people, find it appealing, the BKFC, like it's a new biggest thing, and you've seen people from the UFC come over, and I mean, UFC is seen like the ultimate, like the big thing, you know. But you see fighters come over now to BKFC.
See, I think it's suiting a lot of the MMA guys who get to the back end of their career and the knees start packing in.
Right.
I think they struggle getting through the camps, don't they? You know, the wrestling does take a lot out of people.
Yes,
you get to a certain point where your body just won't get you through a camp. So I mean, the misconception, bare-knuckle is this dangerous sport and stuff. I mean, they're not getting kneed in the face, kicked in the face, elbowed in the face. They're not getting all the submissions put on them. You know, if you actually look at it from the biggest perspective, you know, it's not quite as dangerous as 90% of the combat sports about it.
Yeah, and I mean, I think what people don't realize is usually boxing is more dangerous with the gloves and that.
Pro boxing is the most dangerous combat sport in the world compared to everything. Like hands down, it's just.
See, most people die there.
Yeah, it's just they just get so much brain trauma just for the longer rounds. Obviously, the gloves are letting the rounds go on longer. They're just taking a lot of punches to the head, which is just making the brain rattle about.
Now, I don't want to, like I said, I want to turn it into a Conor McGregor podcast, but what surprised you the most, you know, because you've been working with him, what surprised you the most of him off the cameras?
He's just a normal bloke, you know. Well, I'd say normal bloke. He's just one of the lads, isn't he? You know, he's a good guy. He comes across well. He's been nothing but helpful to me. He reaches out, offers support whenever we're doing shows and stuff, comes over, supports the events. Couldn't ask for any more from him, really. It's massive to just have the support of such a world famous guy, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's massive, mate.
I mean, he seems really interested in the sport.
Yeah, he loves it. He genuinely has a lot of love for the sport, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just, you can see his enthusiasm and he sees it for what it is, just how much of a pure fight. Just the potential in it, man. It's impossible for it not to succeed. You know, if you put the right fights on, we get the card right from start to finish.
Yeah.
And there's just wars, you know, from 5-round wars, knockouts, just crazy fucking, you know, just that from prelims onwards, you know, to the main card. Like, there's not one fight you sit there and think, fucking hell, shit, that. You know, fucking hell, this is insane, man. It's cool.
Yeah. And do you think that Conor McGregor is serious about actually participating? Because there was talks about it, weren't there?
Listen, if he says he's going to do something, I'm assuming he's going to do it. You know? I think he's taking training a lot more seriously now. He's fighting. He's got plans to fight on this White House card on it.
Yes. I think it would probably be against Chandler, because that's been long
it's all heard. I don't know nothing's been confirmed or nothing, but I'm assuming that's what the plans are, you know. But it'd be good to see him. I know the last time he briefly mentioned it at the last show. He said it's going to take him 6 months to get where he needs to be. He's been out for quite a while. You can tell he's got his head switched on a bit again. You know, he's not on social media as much anymore. You know, he seems to have that focus back in his life. Which I can imagine is very difficult when you've got the amount of businesses. Just media responsibilities and all the rest of it that comes with being him, you know, trying to be like focused as a fighter as much as he needs, it must be very tough.
And he talked about, you know, getting God in his life, and he seems a lot more serious from that and stuff.
Yeah, it does, mate. There's been a clear change. I mean, that's the way it appears online anyway, you know, that he's in a much better place than he was.
Now, some people say bare-knuckle shouldn't exist. Now, what is your response to that? Too bad.
I don't agree with that at all. I think it's the most exciting combat sport in the world. I don't think anything even comes close to it. And if people actually did a bit of research into the fighters and what they actually put into the training camps and the level of the guys we're using, you know.
Yeah, like you say, it's not just hooligans, it's people, it's like a professional.
Yeah, but we're also giving people a massive platform to turn their lives around. And we'll give opportunities to lads that won't be entertained by the pro boxing world because they have this stick up their arse about people's backgrounds and stuff like that. If somebody wants to turn their life around and drag themselves into a better place in life, and they're a good, well-rounded, they're the right sort of athlete we're looking for, I'm not going to then look into the background too much and just say, well, you've done this, unless you've done something really bad against women and children, you know.
Yes, of course.
I like to see people turn their lives around, you know, and this gives us a platform to do that. And it's even better in my eyes, you know.
Yeah, I think it's great these platforms exist for people.
Of course, man. Yeah, well, who am I to
keeps them out of trouble? I think.
Of course, man. Yeah. It gives them something to focus on. If somebody's if you've been in trouble all your life and you get the opportunity to turn your life around, why would you not like encourage that?
And is bare-knuckle actually safer in some ways than most people realise?
It's a lot safer than pro, but like the main issue in the whole of combat sports is brain trauma. That's through taking multiple punches with gloves, making the fights go longer, and your brain rattling every time you get punched.
Wow.
So bare-knuckle, you're not fighting as longer rounds, you're not fighting as taking as many punches, you're not taking as powerful punches either, because you can't. If you throw 100% into a shot like you would in pro boxing, if you miss the shot, you're going to hit someone's head or elbow or anything. If that shot doesn't land clean, you could break your hand. So people are taking a lot of power out of the shots, put volume together. You just won't take the punishment you would in pro boxing or any form of glove boxing, to be fair.
And how often do people break their hands? Is it like a common thing?
Not as often as you'd think, to be fair. Depends, you're doing 5 or more, you get a lot of people with sore hands, you know, but the breaks, they're not as anywhere near as regular as you'd think they would be.
Yeah.
So mainly because the sport's developing and people are realising, right, if I come in thinking it's like throwing mad flurries of shots, not being a bit smart with my selection of punches. Like you can't, that's why you see the old school, do you know the old school bare-knuckle boxers or stood like this in the old pictures?
Yes.
Like, that's because the shots will come up. You know, the MMA lads, they have a lower guard, don't they? Trying to catch people on the way, because they've got the smaller gloves. And you hit somebody's forehead, your hand is going to break, or you punch somebody in the elbow, your hand's probably going to break. But they'd also break with a pair of gloves on, you know.
Yeah.
It's just interesting. I think over the next 10 years or so, you're going to see the sport develop into its own beast completely. So at the minute, like I said before, we're relying on pulling in fighters from other combat sports, gloved sports, you know. I think it's time to start developing them from a ground level, you know.
And what's the biggest myth about injuries in the sport?
I think people over exaggerate. Often people's hands break. I think that's the main thing, to be fair. Like, I don't think there's a huge amount of myths during the injuries. I think the people who've got an issue with it are usually people who have absolutely zero knowledge about any form of combat sport. So if you actually like follow combat sports in general, like Thai boxing's dangerous, you know, you're getting kicked in the face, kneed in the face, elbowed in the face. Same in MMA, then you've got the submissions on top of it, you know. You're fighting in small gloves. I mean, why is this? Just because you're only getting punched, you know.
I think it just looks very brutal as well, with all the blood.
It's superficial, I mean, this is what people are wanting to see, though, you know.
Yeah, that's what people pay to see.
It's just exciting. It's everything. In pro boxing, I think, has done himself no favours with the Jake Paul thing. I think it's just kind of exposed pro boxing for what it is. You go and watch a pro boxing fight card, like, you know, most of the fight cards, you know who's going to win, just because they're pretty much all fighting journeymen. Yeah. You know, everyone's just bored of it. Unless it was a like really big pro boxing fight, I'd have no interest in going watching one, you know.
Was there ever a moment that you thought, wow, this is bigger than me now?
No, all the time, yeah. So it's always been bigger than me. It's like considering we started this in like car parks and abandoned mill scrapyards like 10 years ago, to see where it is now is like, I do have to pinch myself sometimes.
Are people allowed to fight for other organisations when they sign a BKFC?
No, not unless we give them permission.
Okay.
You know, if they're relatively inexperienced and they want to keep building their experience and we don't have any huge long-term plans at the current time, yeah, I don't mind, as long as they speak to us, I don't mind, and they're a company we're happy to work with and stuff like that, and they're not putting a fight which is not going to go in their favour at all, you know, completely lopsided fight. So long as it makes sense, you have no huge issue with it.
What's one of the BKFC UK's moments that you're most proud of?
I think the last 2 events has been a bit massive turning point for it all, you know. I think when we did Birmingham when Conor was fighting Danny Christie, just the atmosphere in there was just unreal. Yeah. I think it was all the Zulus were down there for the Birmingham football boys. It was just electric, man, you know. I think it was a shame the Americans weren't there to sort of I don't think they'll have seen such an atmosphere. You know, it's like being at a football match.
Yeah,
yeah. I think about 4,000 people in there. Do you know?
Wow.
Yeah. Then the last Manchester card as well. We had 4,500 people in the AO Arena. You know, it was just special to see it so full. You know, like to see these big names like James De Gale coming over, and it was just a big turning point where you're like, wow, this is huge. It's just the start of this becoming a fucking monster of a thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's just, you know what, everybody who came to that event that never watched Bare-Knuckle before, like, just non-stop messages of people just like, wow, I can't believe how good this sport is, you know, I've never missed a show.
It's exciting.
It's fucking crazy though, man, isn't it? You know,
anyone can enjoy it, really.
Yeah, mate, yeah, just people there that, because we were in Manchester, seeing a lot of people from Bolton that wouldn't have even expected to see there, you know.
Yeah.
And they were all contacting me like, this was fucking, like, I think anybody who watches it for the first time though, once you have to realise how exciting it is, and like, you can't help but fall in love with it, can you?
Yeah. What keeps you motivated when the pressure is heavy?
I'm very competitive.
Yeah, good.
Do you know what? If I think everyone's against me, I'll just work harder, you know. I like to be up against it sometimes. So it just makes me even more switched on. And I am pretty relentless work-wise, you know. I'll be up working from 6:30 in the morning till I go to bed at night. I don't think there's a minute in the day I'm not doing something with BKFC or within the Bare-Knuckle or trying to find fighters. So
yeah, so you can't really sit still.
Yeah, but I've just got a massive opportunity in life, and so I'm just trying to grab it with both hands, really.
Yeah, man, 100%. Where do you want BKFC UK to be in 5 years from now?
I want it to be doing regular shows at big arenas in England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales. I think that's the plan. Going to be the plan. Trying to get a few of them started up this year. I think I'm in talks with David Feldman and Conor McGregor about going over to do Ireland at some point this year. Hopefully we'll try and get it done in the summer, maybe Wales as well. I know we're in talks about doing Scotland maybe. There's some huge potential. I don't think we've even scratched the surface in England as well, you know, because some good tough boys in it. Wales, Scotland, Ireland, man, there's some very, very tough lads over in these places, man. Like, we can get some of them in the mix, mate. I think Ireland and Great Britain could compete in any countries in the world for just like how tough the people are in these places.
Yeah.
You know?
And fighting's forever been a huge part of the
We've all been fighting amongst ourselves since the fucking dawn of time anyway.
Yeah.
But I've got a good relationship with a company called Impact BKB up in Scotland. I've got a good relationship with them. We've been sending fighters up there to get tested. You know, like, there's good top boys in Scotland, like, and we've signed people like Sean Weir, John Telfer, Brian Hislop, Jay McFarlane we've just signed. Yeah, there's some good lads coming out there, and if we can get the same up and running in Ireland and start bringing people through as well, and Wales, that I'm in talks with signing quite a few fighters, we're going to have some very interesting fights and cards going forward.
And do these people earn good money from this?
I think it depends. Like in any combat sport, you know, you're expected to come in. It depends who you are, what you bring to the table. Like, there's not some infinite pool of money. Like, that's just for fighters, you know what I mean? It's a business.
Yeah.
You are realistic with what you bring.
Exactly.
What you bring to the table. If you market yourself, build yourself up, and if the ones I've noticed do well at it are the ones who are willing to do the work for it. You know, the ones who are willing to come in. They're not making it all about money at the start. They're making it just like, look, I want to come in and prove myself, and they just get about the stuff without causing much hassle and just. They prove they deserve to be where they get to, you know.
Yeah, I think like with anything in life, and the money will come later.
Of course, man, yeah. I've seen some, like Danny Christie. Danny Christie's always been a really easy to deal with guy, you know.
Yeah.
Danny wanted to be out regularly, and he wanted to be on shows which weren't particularly near to him. So, but Danny understood the game. He was like, look, I'm fighting far away. I'll take less money than I would be if I were fighting nearer, you know. And he was same as people like Mick Terrell. I don't think people understand how easy Mick Terrell is to work with. He literally. Like, he never wins once about the money he's on. The opponent, he literally ring Mick up. This is what you get paid. This is your opponent. Like, as long as you're like fair with him money wise, he'll fight anyone, you know. Yeah. But then you've got the opposite side of it where there's people, the managers are trying to get them constantly easy fights, constantly more money, constantly title fights. There's always something just like it's just grates on you after a bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like. they're just expecting everything given to them on a plate, you know. And you've got other lads there in the background, just working away to get where they want to be.
What advice would you give to someone who wants to build something controversial but legitimate?
What terms?
Maybe start, you know, organization, or you know, taking something like fighting from the streets. And
Good luck with it all, man. I think platforms like that can be good for. I didn't used to mind fighters going over to Kings of the Streets, fighters going over. I used to like seeing fighters go over to Mahatch over in, where was that now? What's it, Ukraine? You know, because they're willing to go over to a war zone, or flying out to Poland, getting a train into the Ukraine. But when I'm looking at lads doing that, I'm like, yeah, fair enough, man. You know, they've been knocking on the door for ages, and instead of just like crying because the opportunity's not being given to them, they're out there taking risks to get seen, which I just found it very impressive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it was a shame with Kings of the Streets. Really, King of the Streets used to be a good platform for lads to go out and try and build the profiles. But I think when they started encouraging all the eye gouging, the biting, and all the rest of it, which I get, you know what I mean? It's good for they want to make money. They obviously get a lot more views on stuff like that than they would have anything else. But I think it just puts off the real top end fighters wanting to go over, or even lads who wanted to just go and build a profile up. If you're a bit of an inexperienced lad and you're going over there and potentially losing an ear and eye, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, looks a bit rough. I've seen quite a few of them.
I was offered to go and fight there years ago. It didn't end up happening because I was, I think we just had my son and my ex at the time. Wasn't overly keen about me going over, but there was like gentleman's agreement where like you were both strikers, like stay on the feet, you know.
Yes.
There's no biting. Like, I mean, you could, like, if you had some serious issues with each other, but at the end of the day, at some point, like, it's gonna spill into real life, innit? That, like, if you're over at a show and your mate's getting his eye ripped out or something, like, something's gonna happen to somebody. Someone's gonna get shot, stabbed, or.
Yeah, I always wondered. I mean, I know it's a lot of like hooligans and things fighting on there, but
the whole thing's run by hooligans, but they're all respectful guys. You know what I mean? Anything you see
seems
with
like it.
Anything you see with the hooligans, they're like, they all know what they're in. You know, they'll ring each other up. They'll take themselves somewhere out of the public eye. It's not like they're just dickheads just causing everyone headache.
Yeah, very secluded.
They just go into this fucking lunatics, haven't they? But they do it in a professional manner with an amount of respect. So like, I don't see how they cause anyone any issues, you know.
Yeah. Do you know what I do like to see is when somebody travels on their own with no team, and they rock up and they, you know, they don't jump the guy or nothing. They respect them as a fighter.
But I mean, proper fighting lads do, you know. Like, they'll have respect. I mean, if you're all capable blokes, you know. You have an element of respect for each other. You know. No one really wants. You fight because you like to fight. You're not fighting because you want to fucking maim somebody. You know what I mean? Like, that side of things. So when you're including that element where you want to fucking disfigure somebody, it's like that element of respect's gone. You know what I mean? There's an issue there, because then, like I said, that happened to me, or somebody will put that. You ain't just gonna leave it at. Like,
that will escalate.
Or you're just gonna completely. Just going to put off the amount of fighters wanting to get involved in it. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, biting, eye gouging and stuff. I mean, someone's like attacking you, your family, sort of like broke into your house, that sort of stuff. There's no issue with it. You know what I mean? But in the range fight where there's supposed to be a bit of respect, I just don't agree with things going that far.
I think it's also because they say it's no rules, you know, so anything kind of goes.
Yeah, but the thing is, mate, the promoters are encouraging people to bite. It's not like the boys. They're bringing in fighters that specifically.
Yeah, I think they've even offered more money if you can bite something off.
They did a poll online a bit ago on like the website, I think, and it said, what did you think about, like, do you think eye gouging or biting should be banned? And I think everybody who said, yeah, it should be banned, got kicked off the fucking site.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But mate, look, like, I had a good relationship with the guys from the King of the Streets. The lads who run it were always good with us. We had a good relationship with them. I've signed quite a few fighters from there, like Franco Tenaglia, who signed from there, Liam Wilson, Matilda Wilson. They're all people who come from that sort of that promotion, you know.
Yeah.
No, there's some good lads. We had Simon Hendrickson over a few years ago, the French Viking. That worked for my old company. Used to bring in a lot of these guys from King of the Streets. Because they did well. It was a good promotion. They promoted it well. They was getting a lot of eyes on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So to do crossover fights when they were coming over to my old Bare-Knuckle company, it was a smart move at the time.
I just wonder if somebody dies on a thing like that.
Yeah, someone's going to jail for a long time. The promoter will go to jail. Yeah, probably not just the promoter, probably multiple people. Involved in organising the event. Oh, you get fucked, mate, fucked.
Yeah, and it could happen. I mean, fighting on cement and all that shit.
I was in talks with him years ago. I was sort of trying to suggest doing a joint promotion sort of thing with my old company BFBA. It was like, so we'll find some sort of middle ground rule setting, and they're like, no, it has to be on tarmac. Has to be on tarmac. I was like, oh, mate, it's the only thing that makes it illegal, isn't it? You can't move forward. And tarmac's not the fucking deciding factor of it all, is it, realistically? It's realistically MMA on tarmac, you know. It is cool though.
And then, you know, finally, if people look back at BKFC UK, you know, years from now, what do you want your role to be remembered for?
Just helping build the sport, you know. I want to say I'm a big believer in what David's trying to build. I think the ring's going to be, I think every bare-knuckle company in the world, it's going to be like the MMA's cage, isn't it? You know, I think everybody's going to have the same ring, the same rule setting. I think he's set the standard of the entire future of the sport, you know. And if I can have some part in the UK of just helping build that and sort of get it where I believe it can be, I'll be more than happy.
Last words or final words, or anything you want to tell to anyone out there, or maybe people who want to get into it, or dreams or anything?
If you want to get into the sport, contact me on, usually Instagram's a good place to get me. If you contact me, like, no matter what you experience, I don't mind communicating, give you a bit of advice on what platforms to go on to get you where you need to be. We're going to be opening, we're actually starting up some bare-knuckle classes down in I've got a gym called Anarchy Martial Arts in Bolton. We're going to be teaching specific bare-knuckle class on a Friday night at 5:30 p.m. 6:30 till 7:30 p.m. If anybody wants to come down and get involved in that, they're more than welcome. Only in Bolton.
Yeah, sounds pretty exciting. Now, since you say you train specifically for bare-knuckle, does that mean they hit the bags with no gloves or just hand wraps or what?
It's nothing to do with that. No, I mean, you're getting it wrong. It's more the fundamentals, the footwork. I mean, the footwork's your defence, innit? You don't want to be standing there trying to walk people down like you would in a pair of gloves, because the shots are going to get through. So you need the hand positioning needs to be different. The way you hold your hands, just because you don't want to break, like, there's ways to fight the sport without breaking your hands. The shot selection is different, your footwork's different. You've got to have a good understanding of the clinch. Like, if you've got a good boxing background, it's its own beast, you know. There's different ways of looking at things, and if people want to come down and start learning it as its own sport, they'll be more than happy to help them out.
And then how do they do sparring?
We'll do it in 6 to 8 ounce MMA gloves.
Okay.
Controlled sparring. Don't want people trying to take each other's heads off the bit. Yeah.
So beginners shouldn't be put off. I mean,
not at all. No, we want to start building it from a ground level. You know, I'm a massive believer. I think that's the next step for the entire.
Even where young kids can join.
Look, I think moving forward, I think there needs to be some sort of I think it needs to be coached as its own sport, you know, which we're going to be trying to bring forward from our gym. We're going to be trying to open some sort of amateur series at some point, which is basically going to be the same sort of BKFC rule setting. We started doing it a bit now in a show called The Battle of Bolton we do. So like the BKFC rule setting in 4 ounce gloves. So at the minute you've got different levels, like Thai boxing's got N class, C class, B class, then A class, you know. MMA's got multiple different levels before they go pro. At the minute, there's nothing, then pro bare-knuckle boxing, or a very low platform. I think if people are coming in off the street, like at ground level, and trying to get experience enough to be a well-rounded fighter, it's going to take 10 plus fights. By the time we've done that with no gloves on, your body's going to be smashed to bits, isn't it? So if you can give them the same experience under the same rule setting in a pair of 6 to 8 ounce gloves, you know, or 4 ounce gloves, like competing. Like, so it's taken away, they're not getting as much scar tissue, they're not getting as many breaks as they're developing as fighters. That has to come into place. It will not be taken seriously as its own sport until that comes into place. I don't see how it can. There has to be some sort of structure. I think there'll be a bit of, I think if anybody does, I think if BKFC did an amateur series, I think there will be backlash at first over, because no matter what we did, we'd get some backlash. But I think if you stuck to the guns, it would take off. That has to happen at some point. You can't just go nothing, bare knuckle. Like, there's got to be something in the middle there. And at the minute, like, unless you're coming from an MMA background, they're the only boys that are transferring really seamlessly, because they're used to the shots in them small gloves. They're set up for that specific reason, you know. But if you're going from pro, the pro boxers are putting too much weight in the lead leg, so they're overcommitting. Their hands coming back to a poor position, so they're missing the shot. They're finding themselves in this pocket there. The hands are here, and they're getting nailed on the way out.
Right.
You know, the amateurs are doing all right, but then again, if you've got good footwork from an amateur boxing background, but no clinch experience, you know.
Yes.
It's its own sport, you know. It needs developing. But then there needs to be some sort of pathway as a fighter, rather than just going. Because basically, you're a good fighter, you get an opportunity on BKFC, you've got fucking one shot. If you get in there and get fucking nailed straight away because you've never been hit, like, there's no process with it, you know. It's just fucking straight in at the deep end, you know what I mean?
Go. That's it.
Fucking fight, like sink or swim. I just think there's better way, because no disrespect to any, there's some good platforms out there, some of the smaller bare-knuckle shows, some very good ones. I have a lot of time for them, and they put on some good shows, but again, we've got some very high level guys going onto them platforms. You don't really necessarily know how capable they are, because they're not getting tested. Like, for no fault of anything, but like, it's difficult to find good suitable opponents for these guys, so you still don't know if they can take a shot properly or not, or when it gets tough, that other side of them, you know what I mean? Like, we need to be able to see that, and you've got more chance of seeing that in a pair of 4 ounce gloves, because they're not going to get stopped as quick. The fights are going to go on, so if somebody's not training hard enough, it's getting to like round 3, they start fucking feigning injury or trying to get out of there, you know, they ain't going to get used, are they? You know? There's things I'm looking for. They are the things I'm looking for. You know, I want to see where you are when it gets fucking tough, because I guarantee you something like he's going to get tough at some point. Especially the level we're like, putting the fights out at. They're all competitive, man. You know.
Well, on that note, Andrew, thank you so much for coming on the TaylorMade Ink podcast. And guys, if you want to join the bare-knuckle fighting, fastest growing sport guaranteed in the world, you can get in touch with him. In the description is the link to his profile. Talk to him. Even if you're youngsters, you want to get in the sport early, contact Andrew. And if you like the show, you know where to find me. Cheers.
Nice one, man.
Nice.
I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, nice one, brother.
I love you. You love me. Let's get together.